Yo, what's going on, guys? In today's video, we're going to be going over the May 5th hot fixes for Tiny Tina's Wonderlands. We got a new featured run, we got some buffs, we got some slight nerfs to a couple items, one of which I'm only slightly upset about, but the rest of them aren't really half bad. And with that being said, let's go over the hot fixes. Now, just like the last hot fixes, I will probably be testing out some of these things and posting a video, so be sure to subscribe and check that out if you want to see how some of these hot fixes turned out, or if you just want to enjoy some Wonderlands content, some chill Wonderlands content. And with that being said, let's just get straight into it. So in today's hot fixes, the first thing is going to be the Supreme Savings mini event. Vending machines and SDUs are half price all week, along with mission items having a higher chance at being the item of the day. Now, that's going to be the main thing in these hot fixes. I mean, you could farm for money and just, farm SDUs whenever you want. But those mission items, especially with some of the good ones out there, being able to potentially get like volatile versions of these, gonna be happening this week apparently, so I would suggest farming mission items. Next, we have a new featured run. Featured runs are available in the Chaos Chamber. After you completed the main story, they rotate every Thursday. Here it is. This run features Le Change and Blue Hat Monstrosity. That's actually a mini boss. Unless I just don't remember it, I don't think I've seen it. And then we all know who LeChance is, or LeChange. Hey, learn how to spell, just kidding. But yeah, all right, new Chaos Chamber run, cool. Next, a couple fixes toward down unintended collisions and tangle drift. Bonuses from smart armor would occasionally be lost in Save Your Soul or level transition. That's a pretty big fix for the smart armor, so that's very nice. Finally, we get some class buffs to Stabomancer and Clawbringer. They were not matching up with their damage expectations for higher chaos tiers, and these are a few changes that we were able to release now. We anticipate more changes based on what we've seen from the community in the future. In the future, we are continuing to monitor and investigate improvements to underperforming and overperforming classes and how they interact. So first one up is Stabomancer. They increased the Ethereal Blade to deal 150% of the Fate Maker's melee weapon instead of 100%. That's a pretty big buff. Is that the capstone? The capstone on Stabomancer was already great. And then Ghost Blade, which is one of his action skills, correct, but was buffed by 10%, which is nice because I think Ghostblade was also very strong already as well. And I haven't done a Stabomancer build in the game yet. I've wanted to use Ethereal Blade because there are some pretty crazy interactions with it, and they went ahead and buffed it, so let's go. Clawbringer, all critical hit chance is now 13% per point instead of 11. That's not bad. There's 3 points for awe, so it's a 6% critical buff and damage because it's 7% instead of 5. So it's 2% more per point for chance and damage. So that's 6% each. That's not a huge buff, I'm not gonna lie, but we'll take it for Clawbringer. Dragon Aura elemental damage, now 5% instead of 4. So that is a 5-point skill. So that's roughly a 5% elemental damage buff. Oath of Thunder is now 6% instead of 5. That's a 5-point skill. So that's about a 5% melee damage buff. And then gun damage is now 10% per point instead of 8. That's not bad because that's another 5-point skill. Firebolt, right? Wait, let's just triple check. Clawbringer. Pretty sure that's literally the first skill in the tree. Oath of Fire. Wait, what got buffed? Oh, Firebolt. Okay, I'm sorry. In that case, Firebolt is a 1-point skill. Okay. Wow, so that's only actually a 2% buff. I thought that was the first one in the tree. That would have been nice if that was. So we got about a 2% gun damage buff. We got a 5% shock melee damage buff. We got a 5% elemental damage buff, and then we got 5. Wait, it's 3 per skill, 6% critical hit chance and damage buff. I mean, overall small buff to the Clawbringer class. But, you know, you can't complain about Dragon Aura getting a little bit of a buff, so that's not too terrible. Now, Warped Paradigm, this is one of the items that got nerfed, which I am actually weirdly happy with. I mean, I know people hate nerfs, but I always felt it was weird with the balancing of the game that an item like this exists when Spell Shot is in the game. I think overall it's very easy to stack up spell damage, and I did think that was a little bit too powerful. I mean, nerfs always suck, but yeah, anyways, there's more stuff weird about Spell Shot that they could just adjust the numbers of completely. Maybe I'll make a different video on that completely, because it's not like one singular change like nerfing Warped Paradigm by only 15% is really going to change the class that much. But these are just hotfixes. These aren't patch notes. Maybe we'll see some stuff later. I mean, if you guys main Spell Shot, I'm not gonna sit here and act like they're probably not gonna nerf it in a patch or something. Anyways, shotguns. Torgue increased all Torgues by 17%, which is just a random number, to be honest. Like, why buff by 17%? And why all Torgues for that matter? With that being said, obviously, Torgue stickies are fucking powerful. And they were already the most powerful guns in this game, besides pixies, of course. And they got buffed by 18%. But on the flip side of that, there are some Torgue legendary weapons that got buffed because of that. Like the... Hello? Where are the Torgues? Stoker, Torgue. Here they are. Like the Message Pistol, which I actually was a fan of, although I did not try this at Chaos 35. The Cannonballer, which maybe needed a bigger buff. The Hawkins Wrath, which actually also got buffed in this hotfix. And the Sword Explosion, which also got buffed in this hotfix. Yeah. Both of these also got buffed as well. And let's go ahead and go through those buffs now. So the Hawkins Wrath, 75% fire rate increase. That's pretty crazy. 10% damage increase. Okay, I mean, we'll have to try this out. 10% damage increase, not the most ever, but we'll take it. And a 75% fire rate increase is actually pretty crazy, depending on what the fire rate was already. We'll definitely have to try this one out, though. Sword Explosion now spawns with at least one foregrip part. This will not affect current versions of the weapon. Now, if it had no foregrip part ever, or like, you know, sometimes it didn't roll one, that's a buff, although we'll have to see what the foregrips actually do. Increase the projectile speed. See, quality of life buffs are good. Fire rate, and then damage by 14%. So this got a 14% damage buff, and then the quality of life is a lot better now. We'll have to try this out, because the Sword Explosion also has a sticky mode. And yeah. Rain of Arrows. Now, I'm actually slightly sad about this one, because at Chaos 35, I think the Rain of Arrows actually underperforms, because this should be a, like, almost strictly a bossing weapon. Obviously, you can use it for mobbing, especially on some of, like, the trolls, or maybe, like, the mini-bosses in the Chaos Chamber, who don't have real boss scaling, and then you can just fire a couple of Rain of Arrows shots at them already. But for bossing damage, this gun was underperforming, in my opinion, especially at Chaos 35. And it says, adjusted the Rain of Arrows area damage tick time from 0.2 to 0.25 seconds. So its tick time is now slightly slower. So this got a slight damage nerf, and I'm pretty sure, right? Because though that area of effect from the Rain of Arrows only lasts a certain amount of time, and now it's going to be 0.25 seconds instead of 0.2 seconds. So I hope, I don't know. Well, I mean, it's not much different anyway. And yeah, we'll try it out later in a different video. Next, we have the Crossblade. Now, they didn't really buff the damage of this thing. I wish they had. They decided to buff all Torgue stickies, but we can't buff the rest of the guns in the game, am I right? However, they did change the elemental effect chance. They increased it by 100%. Now, this is pretty much only going to be a really interesting fix for Stabomancer, in my opinion, because of Stabomancer's one skill right here. You guys already know it, which is Exploit Their Weakness. Now, the way Exploit Their Weakness works is you can actually stack the same element status effect. Every time you apply a new status effect, even if it's the same element, and the crossblade is 2 elements, right? It always comes in 2 elements, right? So I think this actually might be really good on Stabomancer with exploit their weakness, although that's a bit of some conjecture. I'm not 100% sure on that one. And then finally increase the Divergent, which was a shotgun from the DLC, by a full 20%. That's a pretty decent buff for the Divergent shotgun. And that is all of the hotfixes today. So one thing I want to know is from Clawbringers in the comment section down below, do you think that these are good enough buffs for Clawbringer? Because overall, we got, what, 6% critical hit damage and chance, 5% elemental damage, 5% shock melee damage, and 2% gun damage, which are not the biggest numbers in the world, but I'd like to hear your guys' thoughts on this. Also, if you guys want to try out Clawbringer and then leave the comment later or just comment now, I'll take both. Comment both times if you want to. And yeah, warped paradigm changing. Now, like I said, the whole reason why this thing was broken is obviously with spell shot, and it's because you can just stack so much spell damage. In my opinion, they should just like blanket nerf the amount of spell damage that spell shot gives or gets, and then blanket buff like every spell in the game. I know that sounds weird, but it's like kind of just reallocating the damage, because I do think it's really weird that you have a damage type that can be absolutely insanely stacked by one class, and then, you know, a item like the warped paradigm, and only changing the warped paradigm I feel like doesn't necessarily address, you know, the balancing issue. But with that being said, these hotfixes aren't too terrible. I do wish they actually buff the Rain of Arrows, because I think the damage falls off in Chaos 35. And we'll test out some of these buffs. So yeah, that's the video for today. Be sure to like this video and subscribe to the channel to see some of the future hotfix testing videos. With that being said, I'll see you guys in the next one. I'm out.